thank you for joining today's session. I would like to say that we had 24 proposals or contributions from the previous session, and there are 7 working groups established during our previous session, and we will hear from these working groups. And also we have 3 new contributions. I will share them to you during the session. Let me first, where is it? Okay, let me share this one. It is a list of existing working groups. They were established during the last session of ours. In the first group, dear Hilde, Diana, Paul, and me are there, and also Shobana. I will show you the details of it, and then I will give the word to Hilde because, okay, here was the proposal by Hilde. Hilde, would you like to tell about the working group and what's ongoing? And Hilde, are you there? Oh, you are there.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Ali. Yes,
Hilde, would you like the text to be on the screen, or would you like to put something else? Do you want anything from me?
No, it's not finished yet. What we have now is 2 versions of a letter.
Okay, word is yours.
A short one and a longer one. We are aiming for a letter of max 2 pages, and we're probably going to add an addendum with possible resource revenues to fund the basic income. We plan to finalize the letter this week. Guy Standing has offered to have a look at it well, before the end of the week. And we have already started collecting logos, and Anja Askeland from Norway is going to approach a few people, all affiliates and all other groups, to ask them to send a logo so we can add that to the letter to show that we're really, you know, from all corners of the world, we are asking the United Nations to set up a fund, a global sovereign wealth fund, and to set up a sort of like an advisory board to assist countries on how to implement a basic income. So the letter will be finalized this week, and then it will be, I think it's best to send it to the Google group, mail group. What do you think?
It will be great.
Finalized?
May I have a few questions, Hilde?
Yeah.
Hilde?
Yes.
The question is, you need the logos, you need the names of the platforms or the, I mean, networks, and you need the country name, I guess. Am I correct?
Well, I'll show you, I have a few logos. I can show what I have already got. I think we will do it like this. Hold on. I think what we will do is do it like this. Have the networks that have a global scope on the top, and then put all the individual ones underneath. And once the letter is finalized and we have all the logos, I will ask Bien again if we can, if they want to put up their logo as well. Because I think it's important that Bien should have, there's an empty spot here, as you can see. And I think it's important that Bien should add their logo, but the executive committee has said no in first instance, but maybe once they see the letter and how many affiliates and organizations are actually supporting this, then maybe we can use their logo. Yeah, and if not, they're not. Then.
But Hilde, I guess you also need the names of the organizations. For example, WBI is World Basic Income, I guess. Paul Harness, right?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, because then it will be more easy to understand for the third parties, because maybe they don't know the logos or they don't know the concept. That's why I think the name of the platform or the network and the country should also be there. What do you think, or what our friends are thinking?
Yeah, I don't really have emotions about that. I think everything is fine.
No, I think it's very important. Sorry, I think it's very important to have the name of the what is what, because it's so interesting. Also, for us to know which, for example, the World Basic Income is a wonderful logo, and when we know exactly what it is, then people will see it differently.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think it's very important to have the organization with it.
Yep, we'll do that.
Okay, and Hilde, one more question. Is there any question? I mean, I cannot see your hands or physical hands. No. Then my question is, your proposal was not only to send to the UN, but to spiritual leaders, to some international organizations, etc., etc. Is this letter is the first letter? Will there be separate letters, or will it be?
Yes, this is the first letter to the Secretary General of the United Nations, and then there will be more letters to spiritual leaders.
Oh, so
and there's already the draft to the Pope. Is someone, I can't remember who did it. I think it was
Paul was doing something. Paul, is he here? Paul.
Yeah, so there's already a first start made for the letter to the Pope, referring to his Easter speech.
Okay. So, I mean, my understanding is the first letter will be to the United Nations. The logos of the networks will be there, and the names of the networks will be there. And in the future steps, there will be some other letters to other organizations, to other spiritual leaders, etc., etc.
Yes, and we need that list from Paul, who already had gathered all the spiritual leaders from all different religions, so that we don't miss anyone.
Okay.
We don't miss any.
I'll get that to you.
Yeah, in fact, in working group number 10, there is something similar to this target too. Okay, Gerdur would like to say something. Gerdur, what is yours?
You know, we spoke about last time that we should also approach the worldwide charity groups like like women, United Women, and all kinds of these international support groups all over the world, because they are helping the poor, they are helping the children and all these people. And if they would get basic income, all these people that they are caring for, it would make the job and work and everything just totally different. And these people understand what is lacking money. They understand how they have to survive without having money. So I think that is very important. And I think that we will get also, by sending them a letter, we will get more recognition, or people will get more curious about it. They will read about it even if they can't do much.
Okay.
Like an introduction. What do you say, Hilda?
Well, yes, a bad idea, but I think that's a good idea, but I cannot. I mean, it's just the letter to the United Nations and all spiritual leaders.
Yeah.
Many more projects to work on. So yeah, so that's how far I can go.
No, we could maybe cook it up. Somebody else could make that letter to make a unified letter, so it goes more or less the same letter to all those charity groups. Not that we have to make a letter for each and every one.
Gerdur, I guess working group number 17, I made a mistake. It's not number 10, but number 17 will be an answer to your request, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's coming.
Yeah.
So, regarding working group number 1, the letter to the UN, is there any question, any contributions, dear friends? So, Hilde, would you like to say anything else to the group?
No, just that, I mean, we've been working really hard, and of course there has been a lot of discussion, but that is normal when you try to write a letter with a few people. And I think, I think we did a good work, and I think yeah, I mean, more and more people within the United Nations are expressing that basic income should be implemented, and so I think we have to just, you know, accelerate and keep the momentum going, keep the pressure on.
Do you have any time frame in your mind, or Diana?
We have planned to have a finalizing session on Thursday if everyone is available in the core group. I will send an email, a reminder to Guy if he can give his thoughts, send his thoughts before Thursday. And then Anya will start, is already starting to collect more logos. And then we just send it, I think.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Diana was going to send it to her boss as well to see if he has, almost forgot that. Yeah. So somewhere end of this week, beginning next week, it should be finished.
Diana, Paul, and Shobana, do you have any words about this working group?
Along with the United Nations letter, we should also send the Pope's letter as early as possible. Because Pope, to the Pope, Holy Father.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
We should send the letter to the Pope also as early as possible, because it will be easy for the countries under the Catholic administration it will be easily possible for us to implement. So along with the United Nations letter, we should finalize. Already we have finalized the United Nations letter almost. Only Guy has to go through it. And we'll finalize the Pope's letter also as early as possible.
Okay, you mean the letter to the spiritual leaders?
Yeah, we plan to send to all spiritual leaders, but we exclusively wrote some specific points for Pope, because already he openly said that basic income should be implemented during his Easter letter.
Yeah. Okay. Gwen is already drafting it.
Okay.
So,
and there was a small letter to the consultants of Pope in number 24. If you look to the contributions and participations, proposals, it may be useful also. Anyhow, Sheila would like to say, Sheila, did you change your mind? Sheila, word is yours.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to say I apologize for being late on the call, but I understand that the UN letter is still under production, and we'll have something later this week. I have a whole bunch of people in Canada ready to provide logos, but people want to see the letter first. So wondering what I should do. But you're still, Hilda, you're still looking at really quick turnaround time once the letter is ready?
So, sorry, I didn't understand your question.
So you're still looking at really quick turnaround time once the letter is ready for people to see?
Yes, if possible, yeah. Yeah, I promise to send you the finalized letter for Canada. Yeah.
Thank you, Sheila. Reinhard, you are okay here. Word is yours, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, because it was said earlier on that the money should be channeled through countries, and there should be at least a comment on the issue of poor governance or corruption, because otherwise it can be seen as naive, because people in countries where there is most need often also have governments with at least dubious reputation. So I think it should, I don't think the letter can state a mechanism, but I think it should at least point out the problem and that it needs to be addressed if it is really helpful for the people in these countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Reinhard. Paul?
Okay, I would like to wholeheartedly support what Reinhard just said. I've worked with the ministries of finance and treasuries and all the rest of it all across the world, and if it goes through countries, there's too much chance of leakage. We've got the technology to transfer it directly to individuals. There'll be a problem with ID, but we can surmount that. It's better to go down that route. What I originally wanted to say was it would be nice if on our working group, before it was put out to everybody, that we ran it past one or two people from Africa and Latin America who are not represented on our working group. I tried to get 3 people from Africa to join us today. Unfortunately, it looks like they were busy, but I could easily pass it to them. And I'm looking at you, Leandro.
Caroline is here, Paul. Caroline is here.
Paul, I'm here.
Oh, Caroline. Hey.
How are you?
How did I miss you?
I'm here. I was not on video. That's the reason.
Okay. So all I'm saying is it would be good to get representation from each continent on that working group. So Latin America and Africa are missing. Leandro's here, Caroline's here. I think they should, if they don't want to be fully involved, they should at least be able to have a good comment before it goes out to everybody else. Okay, that's it.
Well, I'll appreciate. Just to let us know, you may all know that we've been doing a cash transfer program as an organization, and right now we've just launched something that is a UBI type response that is going to be helping at least 50,000 people in the initial stage. So hopefully the letters we're writing are going to reach more people, and particularly in Africa, where not so many people know about basic income and the benefits that come with it.
Okay. Is there any other friends who would like to add anything? Diana, would you like to say anything as a part of the working group?
Hi everyone. Hi everyone. No, I just wanted to say I enjoyed working on this letter and everyone's input. As Hildy mentioned, I will be sending this letter just for a review to my former boss, not current boss, at the UN. Because I mean, we were at the receiving end of such letters, so I think it would be good to have his input, sort of informal input, and also how best to get this letter through, actually, because we used to receive them by post, so they would be scanned, and there's no one, I think, who's working in the UN physically in New York, so so maybe we can somehow send it by email. So I would also ask him about that. Sorry, my neighbor is doing some construction. I hope it's not going too much. I'll be quick. And then just another note, a few days ago, the Assistant Secretary General and Assistant Administrator of UNDP, which is one of the largest development organizations of the UN, wrote a specific letter calling for the implementation of a UBI as an answer to the current inequalities, basically, that we're actually that are now exposed given the health crisis. So this is the first time that a senior person at the UN called for a UBI in these specific terms, and she wrote the letter in the World Economic Forum. I'll share the link in the chat box. She co-wrote it with a chief economist of UNDP, and they're basically following the rationale they are explaining, and the arguments they are presenting for a UBI are pretty solid arguments, and it very much fits into our understanding of basic income. So it's very encouraging that they actually, it shows that they did the research and they know what they're talking about. And I think this is really, really encouraging. It's the first time that I read a letter from an article calling for a UBI in these specific terms with the correct rationale. I'll send it right now through the chat. And so my thinking is also, because this Assistant Secretary General also works in New York, I'm thinking whether to CC her also to our letter, in our letter to the Secretary General. I'm also checking with my boss whether we should rather write a letter separate to her, or just, or maybe it's simpler just to CC her. Thanks.
Thank you, Diana. Is there any contribution or any other ideas regarding working group number one's progress, let's say? No, I guess. So we can continue with working group number 3. We don't have working group number 2 because we have only the working groups just with the numbers which we need. Alexander, would you like to say something?
Well, hi everybody. We haven't started yet, to be honest. I've been busy with things in Holland to organize a new opinion poll. But I think we should start around the 1st of May, and my idea is to write to the different affiliation groups of BN, whether they will participate. And then we should start, and of course it all depends whether we really can have a demonstration on the 19th of September. It looks like that at least in most European countries, the forbidding of the not allowing demonstrations will end at the end of the summer. So it looks like that we can have a demonstration in September. But as I said before, we haven't started yet. So more later.
Thank you very much, Alexander. Gerdur, would you like to add anything? Okay, I see your hand. Word is yours, Gerdur.
Yeah, Alexander, you know, because we have not started as a group, but I was just speaking to Ali about that we should unite under the slack of the basic income outreach, because there they are planning everything about this week. So we can add to that and we can see what they have already done. And we are pretty far, or there are pretty many things that are already being discussed, and we can add to it. And what I was suggesting there, because I was also trying to look if we were started or not, because are you the leader of our pack? So if we have a leader of the pack, we know what we are doing, but I was kind of waiting for the leader to bark, you know? And so I went into this, I expressed my ideas a little bit there, because I think that we should focus on this week. And now all of you have to agree with me, otherwise I just dismiss you. We should make this week a week of creativity, of all the people who are creating with the power of passion. They are not really always doing things based on the paycheck. They are doing it with passion. So we should have this week of passion, the power of passion, and have the concerts and music, and make it some kind of art festival, like me and Hilda were talking about some time ago. And we could approach big venues, for example, like Vestigastfabrik in Amsterdam and places like that, to have concerts. And I have been approaching musicians here in Iceland to participate and things like that. And then we can get some kind of international press if we get famous artists in every city to participate under this theme. Anyway, so that is what we were busy with, or with me and my possible group.
Thank you, Gerdur. Gerdur, is it possible for you to write an email to the email group regarding your idea, so that it will be in the course and we can develop on top of it? It will be very beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also maybe you can mention about your idea to include the DM25 network to these activities.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So regarding working group number 3, if there's no more contributions, we can continue. But I saw in the chat box from dear Reinhard, he has a suggestion, but let's make it suggestion number 28, and let's discuss it at the very end. I saw it, Reinhard. It's a very interesting idea during these hot days. So next one is working group number 4. What was working group number 4? Was one second. Where is it? Okay, here. Oh, working group number 4 is. Gerdur, you remember?
Yeah.
would you please very briefly mention about it?
Yeah, we haven't done anything there, but I've been, of course, thinking about it. So I was just approaching him, Willem, this morning because it is about that we want to find out or try to go to see what should be included, what basic income stands for, as a measure to know the amount in each country. So each country has like a formula to calculate it, because basic need is a combination of certain things. You have to have, and we all know that it's food and it is healthcare and housing, etc. And so if we make all these items or the parts in a list, so people have to, in each country, have to contribute covering these items. And then we have a base to work from. And then we can, because each country has the different amounts, we have to have some kind of point. And like we spoke about, or somebody there, about Canada, that in different parts of Canada, different costs. But I also see, like in Iceland, and every country has its own, but living out in the country, it is cheaper housing, but the transport is very expensive. So I think that we can, we have to find a way how to measure what it should cover. And that is what we are doing, the two of us in this group, but we haven't started.
It was number 23. You give a report regarding working group number 23. It's okay, no problem. But it was number 23.
But what is number 3 then?
Number 4. Okay. So regarding number 23, is there any other contributions or any ideas? If there is any, maybe we should hear them.
Hey, Ali, sorry, what is 3 then?
I will go there. No, it is not 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, okay. It was 3.
No, it was 4.
Okay.
And William said that we should be more visible on the streets, squares, stations.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And we didn't do anything about this also yet. Number 4 only.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have nothing. We don't have any progress about this one. Am I correct? No. Okay, so we finished number 4 and number 23. I mean, we finished. I mean, we finished. Oh, well, there's Reinhard. Reinhard, where is yours?
Yes, I just wanted to point out, I mean, there is some argument going on, discussion about universal basic income and universal basic services. My personal opinion is that both need to be combined, but this depends on the country situation. So ideally, I'm a medical doctor by profession and public health. I would like to see health services to be provided as public services rather than being bought through a basic income. However, that may not at the moment be feasible, so because it doesn't exist. So all this needs to go into any sort of consideration. Should it be, how should the basic income be, and what other services exist in the country or should ideally be provided? Thank you, that's over.
Thank you. Reinhard, would you please also mention about your proposal while you start your words? I mean, which you put into the chat box. Is it this Friday or the next Friday?
Actually, the Friday for Future demonstration is this Friday. I put the link to the German version, but as I understand, it's a global demonstration of all Friday for Future groups. I haven't found the global website yet. I picked the German one. So they are planning one for 12 o'clock German time or 11 o'clock UK time where I live. And so it's an online demonstration where you can create your own poster and upload it, and then there will be some sort of physical presence in front of, as far in Germany I understand, in front of the building of the Chancellor, in order to make sure that the important people understand it. Thank you.
So we have only 2 days or 3 days?
Yeah, no. I mean, this is a demonstration by Fridays for Future regarding their aim to, to save humanity and the planet. But I think one could try and consider for the more distant future something similar for the universal basic income. I didn't think it's time to join them with another topic, and I think it would be probably logistically very difficult. But I think we could consider something in the future to have a similar demonstration promoting on a global level the basic income. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any friend who would like to contribute regarding Reinhardt's idea while we are discussing it? Maybe why not to decide about a date and try to be visible in the social media as much as possible. Maybe not this Friday, but next week, one of the days, I don't know. Oh, Paul Harnett. Paul, word is yours.
I'd just like to say something about universal basic services and universal basic income. And I completely agree. We should support both. I've seen academics try and divide the movement by saying you can have one or the other, which is rubbish. But I think we should be in the business of supporting both. We don't have to go into details about what constitutes universal basic services. We just say that we support it. That's it.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, we better continue with our 5th working group. And working group number 5, where is it? One second. I couldn't. Okay. Working group number 5 is Peter, Brake, Paul, Sheila, Olaf. And what was the scope of that working group? Let me find it very quickly. Okay, here is the proposal by Peter Brake. It is a letter to ministers of finance. As far as I remember, it was just a group for doing some modeling work. Am I correct, Paul? Do you remember?
I'm not sure. Peter would know more.
Is Peter here today? I couldn't.
He was.
Is he here? Let me check.
Yeah, he was here.
Oh, he's here. Peter. Peter too is here. I cannot, because he's joining with two, one with laptop, one with his iPhone. Peter, do you hear us?
He was here.
Yeah, I hear you. Can you see me?
Oh, yeah. So regarding working group number 5, Peter, is there any progress? I guess maybe you can give some information.
Yep. All right, we are getting there. So where I'm up to at the moment is getting down to the Facebook page. Anna, you mentioned before that you had an illustrator or someone who made cartoons or something for computers. That service would be absolutely, if we can get in contact with whoever that is over in Turkey, that would be really good if you could share where we're up to today. So the idea that I've got at the moment is to use my my Facebook page, which is called Universal Entitlement, have a page in there that's asking if the people of the US, China and EU donated 1% of their universal basic income, all the people on the planet could receive one. This sort of ties into the long version of the letter to the UN as well, in that the global fund in my version would be the one that administered to the 30 poorest countries, directly putting money into their bank accounts, which is what I think is needed. So hopefully that long version can be put before Guy as well. Now on the Facebook page, it asks yes or no, would you donate 1% of your universal basic income? Hopefully it's just one vote per person, so we can tally it and report back to any of the countries. And at the bottom there's a link. It seems a little bit barbaric the way I've done it. So what it does is it goes, there's only one link, but if you push on the link, this is already set up, I can send it to you. It brings up a massive HTTP doc address that if you click and add to your address bar, it brings up the letter for each minister or for each country. So the letters are already written and the links are already there. I've left the letters available for editing. I'm still hoping to get some people to look at them. So there's 7 different letters for the 7 different situations that we have around the planet in different countries. I'm talking to Paul at the moment as to where the dividing line between needed countries that need support to do a UBI. The other thing is, so that people understand, and I'm thinking there should be some sort of cartoon within the Facebook page that gives people the ability to figure out if it would be supportive to them if it's funded by GST. So for instance, in Portugal, I'm suggesting somewhere around $6,600 is the euros would be a basic income there. That's funded by a 10% VAT rate. So you'd need, the break-even point is 63,000. So if you spend 63,000 euros in Portugal on GST goods, you'd break even. In Spain, it would be $7,900 euros. You'd have to spend more than 75,000 euros to be worse off. The United States, the Yang's one is 12,000 American dollars. They've used 10% as the VAT rate there. You'd have to spend more than 120,000 US dollars to be worse off. So the concerns about it impacting the poor is absolutely no foundation for it. You can't spend 120,000 US on GST goods if you're poor. So absolutely, all of the poor are covered by this scheme. So I'm struggling to get this about because people are concerned about GST or VAT funding. The poor are covered. This is the purpose of the thing. So the people, I'll just do the United Kingdom as well because they're still with the 10%. So that would be 10,600 euros in the United Kingdom. You'd have to spend over 101,000 euros on GST goods. There's no GST on rent. There's no GST on mortgage payments, interest, savings. It does the job is what I'm trying to get across to people. So everything's set up. The links are all there. It links to different papers as well. Once the ministers have opened up the letter, it's there for the shared group if you want to have a look into it. and really that's where the work is needed still. So there's two tasks that need to be done. It's getting the Facebook page and really deciding whether or not my universal entitlement page is the best place for that to be. And I'm not at all maintaining that. It's the only place I've got to put it. Really looking for some support. So there's the letters, the 7 different draft letters that go to each minister. Those are open for editing. It's shared with the group. Really need some input into that. And yeah, help from someone to help put the thing in the nice way on a Facebook page, which I have literally no skill in doing. You know, I can write some words, but that's the extent of my skills on Facebook. So yeah, that's where it all is. Thank you very much for your time, guys.
Thank you, Peter. After your explanations, I understand that the Facebook project is not a simple one. I will try to find somebody who may be able to realize it. I mean, technically. I guess Olaf would like to contribute. Olaf, please.
Yes, thank you very much. I only would like to confirm that I received all these drafts of letters from Peter on Saturday, and these have been so many tasks to accomplish at once. So I'm very much regretting that I haven't had the chance to give Peter more than confirming that I received those. But I will try and do my very best to give my contribution to them. So that we can start, I think, by next week to put this all onto Facebook.
Thank you, Olaf. Any other friend who would like to contribute about this working group, number 5? None. So I will go to the working group number. I will go to the working group number 17. Maybe it's better. Regarding number 17, is Paul here? Okay, Paul is here. Paul, I guess I sent you an email. Did you receive it? Okay, let me explain the concept. It's very simple. Let me find the... Okay, here. Okay, it was working group number 17. Paul had mentioned that he can also contribute. The idea here is to have a list of key people and key positions so that while making a global campaign or international campaign, we should be able to address all the parties. I mean, it should be very inclusive. And I try to prepare something like this. Where was it? Okay, it's here. It's a Google survey, very simple one. If you think it's meaningful and easy, we can have several questions. The first one is the name of the institution, organization, or the body, or the platform, or the network, whatever the name of the organization is. And second one, maybe the name and the surname of the president or chair of that organization. And maybe you might have a title like chair or president or general secretary, whatever. And then if possible, if you can find an email and a Twitter address. Also, there may be some additional details and comments. The idea here was, let me open once again the other Word document. Oops. Okay, the idea here was to make a survey to gather and consolidate a list with the updated information regarding the people and positions whom we should be addressing, so that it should be very, very inclusive and it should cover as much as different parties from different corners of the world. I think it is very easy. It will be very useful. So if we have the UN letter, then if we have the other letters, we can use this and we can send to more different international bodies. I would like to ask Paul what he thinks about it, because we couldn't have a chance to communicate with him because my wife has some health problems during this week again. She's in a hospital, that's why we couldn't communicate. But Paul, what do you think? You had said that you have some kind of a list, a very complete list, but do you think this might be helpful too?
Yeah, I think it would be helpful, and I'm happy to be involved in putting it together, but I think we should say to everybody here right now, if you know of people and organizations maybe in your country, filter them through Ali. And myself and I've got a lot of organizations as well. And that's fine. And sometimes it's, the Fight Inequality Alliance, Via Campesina, kind of the World Social Forum, things like this.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure doing a survey, we can do a survey, but I think between us, everybody here,
sure,
we can get to most of the relevant potential partners. Yeah.
Paul, the idea is, you see, when people send their contributions by email, it's very difficult to consolidate them. So we use the Google survey as a tool, so that people can feed that survey, so we can consolidate it and share it through the email group. So you can also use in other projects in the future too. So I'm sharing the link also in the chat box. Also, I will share with the email group. So can I consider that we are happy with the content of this survey?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go then. So this was 17. We already talked 23. So we have 25, 26, and 27. Let me put them here. They are the new ones, very new. One of them is from Barb Jacobson, the first one. I hope Barb is here. No, where is it? Okay, here. So in 25, it's in fact a contribution from Barb Jacobson. Is she here? Barb, are you here? No, she isn't. Okay, but let's read her contribution. She says that, she's from UK, from Basic Income UK and also Universal Basic Income Europe. She says that the conversation here in the UK is shifting from emergency UBI to a permanent one. What is happening in other countries? It's in fact a contribution and a question. Would anybody would like to comment about this? Maybe, okay, Olaf.
Well, I can only
1 second, okay.
Answers for that in Germany. Can you hear me?
Would you please repeat your last sentence? Yes, please. Now we are hearing you.
Yes. I can only report on the situation in Germany in two views. The one is the general view of the discussion in the country as a whole, and their basic income is not really in the focus. And I can also say the discussion on within the UBI movement in Germany was always tending to a permanent basic income and opposing the emergency COVID-19 basic income, and all these drafts and letters, they were very restrained about supporting our letter, just because of that reason, because they say we do not need any measures for the emergency, we do need to put up a permanent UBI, and this is not the way to go. So I think it's quite similar, but it's only limited to the basic income advocates. The general public does not take notice of these discussions in Germany as a whole.
Thank you, Olaf. Sheila?
Thank you, Ali. Yes, the situation in Canada is interesting. It's hard to know what the general public thinks, but we are seeing that our in emergency measures. Oh, you are hearing me?
Yes.
Getting strange messages on my screen. So the government brought in emergency measures very much linked to employment systems. And then they realized there were gaps and they started filling them. And then they realized there were other gaps and started filling them. So there is pressure coming from lots and lots of places to say, stop with all of the patchwork kind of things. We need an emergency basic income. And that lasted a little while. And now the push is really to look to the future and look more at the recovery and rebuilding period and how we really need a permanent basic income to avoid the kind of problems that we've seen trying to patch things together for COVID-19. So there are a lot of editorials and op-eds and articles being put out. We're seeing organizations that have been either shy or hostile even to basic income, all of a sudden starting to rethink things. We hope that's a positive sign. You know, we still have issues amongst the left in Canada that are challenging for us, but I think things are moving in a positive direction. But we are definitely moving towards like not focusing so much on emergency, but just do it and have it be permanent.
Thank you, Sheila. Any other contributions? I would like to say a few words about Turkey. As I said previously, universal basic income or citizens' basic income is not in the agenda of the political parties, but it's, I mean, receiving a lot of attraction from the media these days. We are trying to give material to the journalists or media guys. And tomorrow at GMT 9 o'clock, it is 12 o'clock here, noon time, we will have a press meeting through Zoom, and a certain number of very famous journalists will be in the press meeting, hopefully, they promised. And also maybe the limit is 500, but I don't know, a huge group of people will also follow it. We will give the results of a survey. It has 15 questions, because in Turkey, most of the people do not know the details of the universal basic income. I mean, the characteristics of it, and what is, which concept is fitting to it and which concept is not fitting to it. So we decided we better ask very simple, small questions. So we have 15 questions to describe a universal basic income, and we made a survey. Very interesting answers we received, and we will make a press meeting tomorrow through Zoom. And I think it will be the first one, because even the political parties are not doing such press meetings. They don't want to hear direct questions because they prefer to come together with journalists whom they know, I mean, so that they can know their questions. So it will be interesting. This is the case in Turkey. And only thing I can say is that some parties, opposition parties, are saying certain things like helicopter money. I mean, only once, okay? Only for once, we should give this much of money to all people. This is the existing situation in Turkey. Geoffrey, I saw your hand. What is yours, Geoffrey?
Well, my basic concern is if we're going to be strict in our definitions of universal basic income, we run the risk of dividing the discourse further, making ourselves marginalized or against other countries. That's why I like the idea that we concentrate more on a what we're looking at, the post-COVID-19 world, where once we won't be returning to the old normal. We have to be setting the stage for a new normal. And the new normal of the world that we're aiming for is the basic income. And that way we don't marginalize ourselves. We don't say, no, you're too short-sighted. You're just concentrating on the sense of urgency without looking at it strategically. I suggest we don't attack them. I suggest we don't say, oh, you're not universal basic income. We are. But instead, we present ourselves more as a strategic perspective rather than firefighting movement, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Any else? Any other contributions? If not, I would like to give a short answer to Geoffrey.
Yes.
Here, the important thing is there are certain financial help is introduced to many people, but these people are all mostly close to the governing party. So the universality here is very important. Okay, I guess a friend shared something. I had to stop it. I mean, here the problem is, if there will be any financial support, it should be to whole country, to whole people. Otherwise, people are suspicious about it, and they don't know who is receiving and who is not receiving, and what is the criteria. That was my point. So, can we consider that we are finished with Barb's question? Okay. Let's continue with the next question, next topic. It is by Shuabano. Dear Shuabano, you have a long one. Would you like to tell about this? Shuabano, are you here? Let me check the list. Okay, she's here, but okay, I guess she left the room. Okay,
Sorry.
she's here. Okay. Shuabano, we received a contribution from you through the Google. Would you like to?
These suggestions were given in the previous meeting, whatever it is. In India, actually, we had a chapter meeting within our country also. Few of us met together and we planned something, and we wrote to our own leaders about implementation of universal basic income. Because it is an emergency, we just wrote it as emergency basic income. And also the former finance minister, Dr. Chidambaram, is very much for universal basic income. And he has suggested rupees 6,000 each in 2 installments for the whole country. So we have endorsed his suggestions, and we have pressurized the government to distribute the basic income. So that is a humble suggestion and the pressures that we are giving from our side to our government.
Thank you, Shuabano. Any friend who would like to contribute? Okay, so we have one more. It's from Sjur from Norway. Sjur, or let me find his.
Yes, that's for sure.
Ah, okay, very welcome. I couldn't see you. How are you?
Yes, I'm very fine, thanks.
1 second, I will put it into the screen, your proposal or contribution.
Yes.
It is okay here. So here is the proposal. So word is yours, dear friend.
Yes, my proposal, it is about making an event, a cultural event, to make, as it stands in the proposal, to make music or big music as a part of our UBI. We can make a concert, or we can make now these days, because of the corona situation, we can make it get musicians from all around the world to playing one tune, one song for the UBI with relevant lyrics, or we can make it a real happening. So it depends on the situation. But the point will be to make like culture as a part of our movement, because we are very academic, we are very many academics, and we are very kind of discussing all kind of topics, etc., etc. But we need to get the artist with us in another level than we have today. And so I was thinking to maybe we can make a day like together with the March in September maybe, or something like that. So if we have contacts with different artists around the world who want to participate in this, then we can manage to do something. So that was kind of the plan.
Sujur, this is number 27. I mean, the numbering is based on the receiving time of the proposal. Do you think there should be a working group on this? I guess Jessie says that she's interested in helping organizing something like this. And there are also our friends who would like to be interested, Reinhard and Vusadueva. Do you think we can organize, we can have a working group on such a...
Absolutely, I think that is the best. To have a working group.
So working group number 27.
Yeah.
And as far as I see, Jessie and Vasudeva is interested at the moment. I guess it will be more in the... Okay. Is your words finished?
Yeah, the thing is that in we can have a little working group, but our movement is global. So in our network or in the movement, we should have a lot of different resources in all different countries, and who can maybe it is easy for them to contact different people in their which are in contact with already. So this working group can kind of contact different people around the world and to find out which musicians who is can participate in something like this. So but let's have a working group and work further on the ideas and make it real.
Okay.
Yeah.
Friends who would like to join this working group, would you please write your names to the chat box so that we can collect more easily? Working group number 27. So we are in fact finished with the existing proposals and contributions, but then maybe we can hear one by one from everybody what's ongoing from their network or from their country. But I would like to ask a question to Reinhard and Hilde. Reinhard proposed something similar to this Friday event. Okay. And Hilde, working group number 1, is working on the UN letter. My understanding is that this Thursday or latest this weekend, the letter will be ready. It will be shared through the email group, my understanding. And maybe next Tuesday, we will receive the answers, especially friends from Canada. Sheila says that they have to share the letter and then they have to receive their feedbacks, whether they agree with it or not, whether they will send their logos or not. But at the end, in the coming days, we will submit the letter. Why not to do something at the same day? I mean, while submitting the letter, do something in the social media, as Reinhard proposed, and maybe put some artistic touch on it. What do you think, Reinhard and Hilde and dear friends? Reinhard, would you like to comment?
Yeah, I can comment. I think it's a very good idea. I just am not sure whether in terms of time and logistics it's feasible, because I think the letter is probably ready quite soon. But as I said, I'm interested in both other ideas, but I'm not sure how quickly it can be all organized, because I call myself a geriatric, so I'm not really very familiar with digital media and how quick or easy it is to set something up like a cultural event or an online demonstration. But I'm happy to assist. Thank you.
Thank you, Reinhard. Hilde, would you like to comment about this issue?
Yeah, well, you know, yeah, the more attention, the better, of course. Yeah, if it can be organized on a short term, I don't know if that is feasible.
Hilde, you see, there will be a letter to the United Nations. So even we can put the logos next to each other and put a music there. Maybe we can make a one sentence letter. So it will be a small movie, let's say 30 seconds. While sending that letter, we can also share this video everywhere so that people will know these organizations put their logos and signatures under this letter and send it to the United Nations. So if the logos are there, then the networks will also like it and they will share in their own networks. So it might be interesting, but it may be very easy, not difficult.
No, I think the more different, the more variety, the better in social media. So you know, all organizations will share it, all individuals will share it, and yeah, the more you can it doesn't have to be all in one day.
Yeah. Do you think
the algorithms behind social media, don't look at if you get this boost in one day, then it will be less attention than when you spread it over a few weeks.
Mm-hmm. Do you think we can ask the networks to give their response to this letter by next Tuesday?
Yeah, well, as soon as the letter is finalized, I will ask them to give their response within a few days. I will try to pressure to be.
I mean, can I?
Tuesday, but let's finish the letter first.
Okay. I mean, would you like to say any deadlines or targeted timing of submission of the letter?
Well, this Thursday we have our Zoom meeting to finalize the letter.
Uh-huh.
Then it will go to the UN for the informal review. Before that, I can send it to everyone because that will only be minor changes, not in the content, but rather, you know, just to make sure that it actually ends up on the desk of the Secretary General. So after Thursday, when we finalize it, I will spread it and then collect the logos and.
Can we say we can start collecting logos by Tuesday?
Yes, I have received some logos already. So
yeah.
And I just want to add one more thing that has nothing to do with the letter. Our dear friend Sarat Davala is a real true hero because today he has managed to get actual money to the migrant workers without any help of the government through postal offices with a very creative way to get the money, real money in the hands of the people that actually need it. So I'm really proud of him.
Can you share any link about this so that we can share?
So I will post some pictures today of the people that actually have received the money.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I will try to check from his Facebook page.
Yeah, fantastic.
Okay. Gerder, would you like to? Okay.
Yeah, what I was thinking, I heard you speaking, I heard Shure talk about this music, and we had already been discussing me on the behalf of this International Week, and then I thought we were talking about the same thing. I think it would be a good idea and more compact if, for example, Friday for Future, this International Week and this song, that we should all work in one group, because it is the same musicians we might be, it is the area of this creativity that we are approaching, and I think we are stronger to distribute this idea within the industry, the creative industry, and then we can use it like for Friday for Future, or for the week, or for this or that. And I was thinking, for example, with a song, because I had already approached people here in Iceland to make a song, and but I did that connected with this week. But if we could have like a song competition to send in songs, just like a Eurovision or something like that. And because there are lots of musicians who want to contribute to music. And so if we all work together in one group and then we have subgroups into that for different responsibilities, maybe, I think maybe we'll be stronger that way, and also into the media.
So you propose to merge working group number 27 and number 3?
Yeah, no, but wasn't it 23?
No, number 3. Number 3.
Number 3. Okay, have it number 3. I just
No.
need to sort out what is what in the numbers of.
But what about Sujur? Sujur, are you here?
And Friday for future also.
I think our cooperation on any way we can cooperate is for the better, because then we strengthen our what we're doing, our activities. So absolutely, cooperation is very good.
So my understanding is that number 3, number 27, and number 28. 28 is the Reinhardt's proposal. They will all merge in number 3. Am I correct?
That is fine.
Reinhardt? Okay, Reinhardt also accepted. Okay, dear friends, I tried to find from Sarat's Facebook page, but I couldn't find it. Hilde, if you do find any link, would you please share it with us?
Yes, I will, but I don't think he has posted it yet. I think he's very busy.
Oh,
yeah.
It's breaking news then.
Breaking news, breaking news.
Dear friends, I see many friends who didn't talk today. We would like to hear them too. While Hilde is trying to find that connection, if she can, maybe she can find and join, share with us. Ulrike, what would you like to say?
Yeah, well, I'm from Germany, I'm from Hamburg, and I could say one positive news. We have got an BE for that during 3 weeks there had been enough 13,000 signs to get exercise, a model in Hamburg for UBI. And now it has to go on a second turn, and then maybe it will it will exist. But we have to now we have to collect to wait if it's okay and if the government agrees, and then we have to collect 16,000 signs during 3 weeks. That will be a good work. That will be in January next year. And yes, that's what I wanted to tell.
Thank you, dear Ulrike. Nice to see you. Jesse, what is yours, Jesse?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to go back to sort of the idea around like the release of like the UN, the letter to the UN. And you guys are talking about having like if we could organize like some sort of event or art or something. I was just like, an idea that popped into my head in that discussion was the idea of having like maybe a Zoom call where like it could have like a panel discussion with some experts who are on this call right now, or anybody, to talk about basic income, talk about the UN Sustainable Development Goals and how all of this works. So, and I think that could be easier to organize.
JC, is there any possibility to write this into the Google file so that it will be recorded and we can share it and we can discuss it in the next meeting also?
Okay.
Of course, at the moment, if anybody would like to contribute regarding this proposal, more than welcome. I cannot see.
Okay, thank you.
No, a very nice proposal, but we better not lose it. I mean, we better keep it on the table and try to do something on it.
For sure.
Thank you. Tony, I see you at the left top corner. Would you like to contribute? I couldn't unmute you. I think you have to unmute yourself. Okay,
Yeah.
now it's okay.
Okay.
Please.
I'm Tony. I'm from Kingston, Ontario in Canada, and I'm very excited to be at this meeting for the first time. I think it's a tremendous effort and an amazing amount of work. And I'd just like to report that in Canada, we've had many provincial, local and provincial activist organizations, which we've now organized into an activist collaborative network in order to put more pressure on the federal government. And also that we now have a nationally oriented development of a youth movement for basic income that's just getting off the ground. And that's really exciting, I think. Reaching out to people between 18 and 35.
Thank you very much, Tony. Thank you for your contributions. Dr. Vasudeva, are you here? Okay. Would you like to contribute?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, sir.
Yeah, we are hearing you, Dr. Vasudeva.
I suggest that meetings should be organized in remote places also, sir. Meetings should be organized in remote places about the BI. Meetings should be organized in the remotest places also. Meetings, conventions, etc., sir. Meetings.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Vasudeva. I couldn't hear you well. Thank you very much. Who would like to?
I suggest that. Okay, I'll send the chat.
Okay, please send by chat. Okay, we will receive your contributions by chat. Leandro, would you like to say a few words? Oh, pardon, you are talking on the phone. Okay, I'm sorry. Who didn't contribute? Gabriela, would you like to?
Yes, hello everyone. I can maybe briefly report from where I am now. I'm in Chile, and we have just started the local network here in just like a month ago. So the conversation is pretty much starting. We have also been in touch with other local groups in other countries of Latin America, including Leandro. And we're trying to build also a Latin American network and to support each other on that. We have been pushing, asking for a real universal basic income in the context of the pandemic. But so far we are still in the stage in which we're trying to push to make the emergency transfers to be broader and broader because they are still very limited. But I think little by little, we're starting to get some more attention in the public debate. So I feel quite optimistic. I mean, we hadn't really spoken about basic income in Chile until now. And in the last month, it has been picked up by many politicians and academics. So yeah, but we are pretty much like at the beginning of the road. That's what I can say from here.
Thank you, Gabriela. Dear Ingun? Okay.
Yes, I shared on the chat a link to the Climate Income Now network. And this week is the Earth Day's 50th anniversary. So it's a lot going on the climate income network. So lots of people are not aware how much the universal basic income is a part of the climate income solution. So because as we talked about earlier, that lots of the people who are environmentalists are not really that concerned about the poverty issues. So this week is a fine time to link UBI to the climate income network. And so that's why I shared that link on the chat. And also I want to share for anybody else being part of the Green Party movement. there are several groups like the European Greens and the Global Greens. So this yesterday I also shared on a group for the Global Greens a link from our Facebook group on the impacts of the COVID-19 and the universal basic income. And it has some positive response, and some more people also share things about UBI on the Global Greens network. So that's a way to use existing networks, like several others have been talking about today, that we share universal basic income information on existing networks like the Global Greens and the Climate Income Now movement. So that's relevant for all the working groups, actually, because it's about getting more people aware of the basic income solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Ingun. Thank you for your contributions. And Leandro, yes, now it's...
I'm sorry, Ali.
No, please.
I had a phone call at the moment you unmuted me.
I'm sorry.
But thank you again for hosting this. Once again, I'm sorry I couldn't participate in the last meeting. I just checked the documents and the working groups. As Paul mentioned, I'll try to bring people, especially from Brazil, but we have, as Gabriela said, a Latin America articulation now of different moves and different networks. And I'll try to bring people from the Brazilian network to working groups as they are, or perhaps proposing new ones. But here in Brazil, we managed to create a very wide coalition to support an emergency basic income. We managed to approve something in Congress, and of course it's not a basic income as we want, but people are now receiving 600 reais, which is like $150 for the next 3 months. And this program is expandable for 3 more months, and it's now reaching more than 50 million people. So I believe it's something very, very large, perhaps as large as the countries that are implementing cash transfers for the struggles in the economy. But we are very happy and satisfied about because this actually helped us to bring basic income back to the agenda. There are now people trying to compete against us for the name of the actual program that is enrolling people and being rolled out, because they are trying to say that this is not a basic income, because a basic income should remain after the crisis. And we are trying to call it basic income because we want this to remain crisis. And since we do have a quarter of the population receiving that, we hope to bring debates to the top of the agenda for the next months. In 2 months actually, because payments are being done this week, we will have another important step for our campaign that is trying to expand this for 3 more months, as I said. We've managed to have this for 6 months. We will struggle again to make this permanent and possibly taking steps to make it also universal. But these transfers are unconditional. They are made through a cell phone banking account with public banks that are very strong in Brazil. And they are based in Bolsa Familia registrations. So if we didn't have the Bolsa Familia before this, we wouldn't be able to bring so many people to this transfer now. And that shows us that that's a kind of confirmation for the basic income movement here in Brazil. As you heard, we see in the last years that we do consider that the Bolsa Família program is a first step towards basic income, and that showed us this coronavirus. That showed us that we are in the right way. We are trying to follow beneficiaries of this policy in the ground level. So we asked people inspired by Jess Gallen from Canada to take pictures and to make videos of how they spend their money, if that's enough, if what are they expecting to do after the money is gone, if that was enough to be to accomplish social distancing measures and so on. So we are trying to create something like the 99% website that brought stories of people telling they were the 99% in the US. We want to send us videos telling that they are the basic income beneficiaries, and they want this to remain after the crisis, and that they think whether they think this should be permanent or not. So this is our effort. We also have an academic agenda of this and try to evaluate this current. But after this week, I hope to be more specific about it, because it's still trying to fund this research now that is trying to reach scientifically people that are receiving the money and trying to compare results with normal cash transfers for doing normal time. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I'm really happy to see people from around the world that I had the opportunity to be together, and I hope I can be together with you. I would go to NA Big again, Sheila, Jesse. I hope we can see each other again.
Thank you, Leandro. Interesting contributions. Paul Harnett, dear Paul, word is yours.
I just wanted to make one point, and that is that with regards to the environment links with the environmental movement, we as World Basic Income, we're already in the Climate Change Coalition. And the other thing that, in fact, Barb Jacobson told me was that Extinction Rebellion were considering having their fourth demand as a basic income. So it's not as bad as you might think. There are quite a lot of links between ourselves and the environmental movement. Okay.
Dessa vez não viu que tá, então acho que ele não te pediu para colocar, mas tá tendo.
Now it's okay, Paul. Paul, you are finished. Okay, thank you. Gabriela, you would like to add something, I guess?
Yes, I just had a question for Leandro. I don't know if he can listen and talk now, because I saw he was busy. But it was just a clarification for the update he gave. So I was wondering what percentage is being covered by this emergency basic income, and if it's the same group of beneficiaries of Bolsa Familia, or if it's been increased. Yeah, because it wasn't that clear from what he said. Yeah, I don't know if he's there.
Yeah, I am. It's an increase. We have 40 million people in Bolsa Familia, and this increase will bring this to 60 million, 62 million people. So it's an increase, but based on Bolsa Familia registration.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Valeria, are you there? Maybe you would like to say regarding... Okay, great.
I'm here. Yes, hello everyone. I have nothing to say regarding development in Slovenia. Everything is the same as it was last week. We have some articles in Corona law named as basic income, referring to a universal basic income, but it's conditional. As I said, we are framing our discourse right now a little bit different. As until now, we are not disappointed, but we are very proud. We are happy that they had to accept our term, our idea, that this is a sign politicians cannot avoid the will of the people who really want to have basic income. This is our story. I had like 3 different interviews for the, how to say, the televisions of Slovenia, one for the first newspaper and so on. It's a big story. And we are doing whatever we could to change the mind of the government. That's all.
Thank you, Valeria. Valeria, why not you share all these news at impacts of COVID-19 and UBI advocacy efforts or something like this, the Facebook group. I will put into the chat box. Dear friends, please share news from your country so that other friends can read them. It will be very beneficial to all of us. As far as I see, nobody would like to speak. Maybe we can continue with Lena. Are you there? Dear Lena? Oh, here. So I unmuted you. So where is yours, Lena?
So what was the question? I just arrived.
Oh, the question is, we just covered the agenda. We had 3 new contributions, or 4. Right at the moment, we are trying to hear friends from different countries. So what's ongoing in Sweden is the question.
Oh, nothing really, except the same as last week, that we support the industries and not the people. And it's interesting. I think it started to talk about in the world media that we actually done it the right way here with not having a lockdown. But because we haven't had a lockdown, people are not that desperate. So not much is happening with basic income, unfortunately. That's it from me.
Thank you, Lena. Sabine, would you like to? Thank you, Lena. Sabine, would you like to contribute, or who else? John Mills, are you here from Canada? Oh, here.
I'm here, but I really don't have a lot to contribute. Ali, I just want to say I've got my Ontario Basic Income Network hat on now. I'm doing a lot of outreach to sectors that are, for the most part, ignored, like groups that help people with addictions, and our enormous Indigenous community in Canada that really we haven't heard a voice out of for basic income, and they of all people really need it. So I'm doing some outreach there and seeing if we can get some different voices behind our movement, and just expand the population that knows something about it.
Thank you, John. Who else who didn't say anything? As far as I see, almost none. Luke. Dear Luke, would you like to say any?
Oh, yes, well, just that I'm working with Tony and Sheila on different projects in Canada. But what's special about Quebec, of course, it's a French-speaking place. So we're doing something that is not related necessarily with the rest of Canada. But nothing is going on much in this period of urgency towards basic income in Quebec itself. It's much more so in the rest of Canada. But there's one good thing going on that is just starting. A group of activists in a part of Canada that is the Gaspésia Peninsula they are together, three sort of groups, people fighting poverty, people in economic development, and people in public health. Together are starting a project for an experimentation in that part of Quebec of basic income. That there's nothing much to say right now, but that's quite an interesting project. That's all. So that's something special that is going on in Quebec. Otherwise, we participate with Tony and Sheila and all other people in the rest of Canada for projects that are across Canada. That's it. Thank you, Eddie, for organizing that. Ali, you're muted.
Okay, thank you. In fact, it's very beneficial for me. I am learning a lot, I said. Thank you very much, Luke. I am also trying to follow the chat box. Shuabana would like to contribute. So, word is yours.
The Indian condition, I would like to share a few things. Over the last 1 month, there is lockdown, and most of the Indian workers are daily laborers, and they are locked inside without any job. So it's my humble request to the team to write the letter to Indian government as early as possible to release the emergency basic income, because it is mandatory. Many are dying out of hunger, not out of corona, because they predict that only in May mid there will be serious cases of corona. Around, they predict more than 10 lakhs in India. But now for the time being, out of hunger, many are dying, so it is emergency basic income is very urgent. And India has received lot of loan, 1 lakh loan from World Bank and 4 lakhs loan from IMF. But this concept of basic income distribution is new to the government, and they are refusing to do it. And it is our organization which has to do. Because in India, we have number of non-governmental organizations, more than lakhs and lakhs of organizations are there. Like mine, like Sharath, there are many organizations. We are going around and we are distributing our savings and our organization's money to the public, to the poor and hungry. But now it is mandatory, the government has to come forward to distribute. Also, they have already allotted many crores of money, many millions of money for parliament construction and statue construction, many unwanted projects. And we are pressurizing the government to direct the money towards basic income. And also many big companies have come forward and they have donated money to Prime Minister Care Fund. And this money also has to be distributed to the public in the name of basic income distribution. And we can call it as emergency basic income, but I request Ali to write the letter to Indian government as early as possible, because 1 month is already over and people are in hunger inside the house and they are not able to adhere to the policy of lockdown. They are going out and searching for job, but they are not permitted. Police is beating them. So people are dying without job, without food. So my request is this. Thank you.
Shuabano, I am receiving some messages from the chat box. You mean there's a letter under construction to the United Nations, and similar letters will be prepared in parallel to this one, and we are going to collect the list of the organizations or bodies, platforms to whom it should be addressed. You mean the government should also be included to this list, or separate, or a separate letter? I think that's okay. Why not you also add to the Google survey? I mean, how it should be mentioned. I mean, the name, and I mean,
Yeah.
it's asking very simple questions. It's in the chat box.
Yeah,
and
I will submit the details. I will submit the details of finance minister, prime minister, everything I will give you. But for the time being, I request the our BN to act fast.
I mean, we are not BN. I mean, we are BN members and other basic income networks. I mean, we are affiliated to too many different networks. The issue here is to communicate, interact, and collaborate. And while trying to collaborate, the first project was, number one, is writing a letter to United Nations and also to some international organizations. But we may add national organizations or country-wide organizations like governments as well.
If you give some deadline for that, we will be able to prepare the letters as early as possible, according to the priority basis.
Regarding deadline, I cannot say anything, but my understanding is that on Thursday, the UN letter will be almost finalized and it will be distributed to the friends. On next Tuesday, I guess we will be able to hear the responses of all the networks.
Yeah,
But
I am in the team.
meantime, if you have something.
I am in the team of preparing the letter.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will discuss on Thursday too. I mean, regarding how we should go to the next step. I mean, after UN, or maybe we should speed up the second step also. Okay, thank you. Olaf would like to contribute. Olaf, please, word is yours.
Yes, thank you. Amongst the many letters that Peter drafted, there is also one that's targeting India. So I think we should have a look at that first and give our response back to the group.
Interesting. Olaf and Peter, do you think you can also share these drafts or the letters in the Google group also, so that everybody can see it and make her mind, and during our next session we can maybe discuss more easily. Do you think it's a possibility to share it in the email group? Peter?
Yeah, at the moment it's in amongst the Google Doc shared documents. There is seven different letters, but one in particular just for India, because of the work I've done there for the specific Indian situation. So I can put that one up in itself. It is on the Google Docs list. All 7 letters are. But yeah, I can get that one. Just a Word document saved to the Google group. Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, I guess what Olaf mentioned is that letter. I mean, do you think it's a possibility to share in the Gmail, Google groups, so that everybody can have an idea about these drafts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah. So we can continue to discuss about this in the next week, during the next time, so that everybody will be able to read them, and this will have time to read them. So Peter Knight is here. Dear Peter, would you like to say any news from Brazil, or in general from US? Who knows?
Well, thank you, Ali. Not much to add. There's not much really new news from Brazil. Continue to have, they fired the health minister, the president, who's kind of crazy, fired the health minister and put in another one who, well, nothing wrong with him as far as I know, but there's something of a constitutional crisis, but it's nothing to do with UBI. And as far as the US, I think people are pretty well up to date on what's been going on there. There is this 4th bill in there, and it doesn't seem to have any UBI. There is a bill in Congress being presented by some people for a regular monthly UBI, emergency UBI, to go on for many months, but I doubt that it has enough to pass. We'll see what happens.
Thank you, Peter. Garlene and Lane, are you here? Would you like to say anything? Oh, okay. I'm unmuting you. Okay, so what is yours?
Yes, Ian Middleton here from New Zealand. Situation here is that COVID-19 is declining, so we're getting fewer and fewer new cases, so it could be perhaps eliminated from New Zealand fairly soon. Also, our lockdown is being lifted in about a week's time. Not lifted completely, but relaxed is probably a better description. So there's various things happening. The government is trying to find ways to keep business going, and a lot of talk about small business in the last couple of days. Now, we're trying to say that basic income would be an ideal thing to promote small business, because when people have money, they can spend it, and that promotes small business. But for some reason, the thinking has not quite got to that level yet. So we're still trying to talk to our government about those things.
How would I eat by myself?
We'd like to support Shabana, that in some countries, and India is one, it is urgent to get through to the local governments that basic income would be very helpful at this stage. And we're having input from Uganda, where people are just running out of money. They're in lockdown, they can't go out and work. Most people have relatively small savings and they've run out of money. So that's my comment for the moment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have only one friend, Fireflies, I guess. Dear Fireflies, would like to contribute? Fireflies. Okay. Okay. Any other contributions or any other proposals? None, I guess. So let's stop here, and we will come together hopefully next Tuesday. And in the meantime, on Thursday, maybe the core group of the working group #1 will meet. And maybe Peter and Olaf, if you kindly share that those draft letters in the email group, it will be great. And Hilde, we are really looking forward to see Sarat's news, the breaking news. Hopefully he will share at the Facebook page. One thing I would like to say, I couldn't follow all the things in the chat box, but I tried to put the name of the Facebook group, which is Impacts of COVID-19 and UBI Discussions. If you do kindly share news from your countries, it doesn't have to be in English. I mean, we can try to translate using the Facebook's translate engine. It will be very beneficial. Then thank you all. I am unmuting. Oops.
Hello.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.
From Germany. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Everyone,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thank you, very kind of you.
Take care, everyone.